We are in a fight to get more paycheck protection funding. As of this morning, there's about $37 billion in total funding remaining for new loans, and that is compared to the entire total allocated funding in the last year or so of about $1 trillion. So there's very little left. However, the funding runway has been extended a little bit. So this is really good news because there were expectations a few weeks back that funding would run out at some point in mid-April to late April, but now they're saying mid-May. So that's exciting that they're expecting the funding to last longer. I suspect that's because over time, the average loan size is actually decreasing because more and more small businesses with no employees, independent contractors are starting to apply. The sheer number of applications has actually gone up in the last month, which is completely crazy as this program is winding down, but just highlights the need for more funding here and for some important changes to be made. So I'm really glad that this program is being accessed by more and more people, but there's issues here that need some change. So this video is for anyone who's at any point in the PPP process, whether that be first round, second round, or you're just curious what exactly is going on here. This is the most up-to-date information as of today on the Paycheck Protection Program. Also, I would just like to apologize if I seem a little bit off. My allergies are just through the roof today, and it's driving me GD bonkers. So I apologize if I seem a little bit weird. So let's hop into the bill itself, the bill that was just proposed. It's not in law yet, it was just proposed. We'll cover the details, we'll cover the good, the bad, the ugly with this, what this addresses, what this doesn't address, and what the potential future is here. So the bill itself is the PPP Flexibility for Farmers, Ranchers, and the Self-Employed Act. A bit of a wordy title, but that's not my main criticism here. So the main point that this bill addresses is the disparity between the net income loans and the gross income loans. So there's this glaring issue where the people who were the most prompt, they were the most on top of things with the Paycheck Protection Program, and they applied as soon as possible, they received the worst terms. And this is because after the program was rolled out for about 6 to 8 weeks, Biden came out and said, hey, now you can use calculations based on your gross income, which is an amazing change. It means people were receiving much larger loans, and many more people were interested in this program, but the people who are most prompt don't have any way to up their loan size from net income to gross income. And for many people, that's the difference between receiving like $1,000 and receiving $10,000 or $15,000. Now, this change is also the reason that we're running out of funding, but that's neither here nor there. That's just another problem that needs some kind of resolution. So we're going to go through my highlighted areas here on this bill. So first off, it helps out farming partnerships. They would be able to use their gross income for calculations. I know this doesn't cover most people, but that's one change it makes. It also would allow for gross income calculations for members of partnerships, which I think is an important change because as of right now, it's just for 1040 Schedule C filers. So there's certain other entities that simply can't use the same calculations because they file their tax a little bit different. That's another glaring issue that I'm glad to see there's some focus on. Also with this bill, this is a bipartisan bill, which isn't a huge surprise, but it's always nice to see that, there's bipartisan support to help out small businesses. And that's kind of been the case for all of COVID. These bills have passed with relative ease. Also, this is the most important part, it would create a process to allow eligible applicants to request recalculation. You would be able to request recalculation from net income to gross income and up your size. Loan size, that is. So here's kind of how it would work. The retroactivity would go back to December 27th, 2020. So you'd be able to up your loan size for any loan you applied for after December 27th, 2020. So if you received a loan based on net income last summer, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to up your size on that one. Only for loans after December 27th. And really, no one was able to apply until mid-January. So more realistically, it's mid-January. And then on top of this, there is a one loan eligible per applicant increase. So if you received one loan in 2020 and then one loan in 2021, you'd only be able to up one of those. Well, really, you wouldn't be able to up the one in 2020 anyways. If you received two loans in 2021, you'll only be able to up one of those to gross income if it isn't already using gross income. So that's a really important distinction. And then they also made a change that was, I didn't expect this to happen, but it would amend the calculation of revenue loss from the quarter to quarter analysis to any contiguous 90-day period. So right now, in order to be completely forgiven on your second draw PPP loan, you have to show a reduction in revenue of 25% 25% or more on a quarter-to-quarter basis. So you can compare Q1 2019 to Q1 2020 or Q2 2019 to Q2 2020. Also, if you're a seasonal business, the calculations change a little bit. If you started in the beginning of 2020, your business, there's a little bit of different calculations. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty details here because I'd be explaining it for another 2 minutes. But they would change that calculation to any contiguous 90-day period compared to any contiguous 90-day period. And this is huge because there's a lot of people who kind of sat on the gray area here. I received a ton of messages when this program first came out from people who were like, I saw a reduction in revenue of 24.5%. I can't get this program. And it's like, yeah, I guess you can't. So that would allow those people to pick the specific days that would allow them to receive the loan and have it 100% forgiven, which would be a great change. Now, the glaring issue with this bill is it provides no additional funding. This is a problem. This is a problem for many reasons. First, it's a problem because it's going to cost more money to do this. If people are upping their loan size from net income to gross income, the funding is going to be drained faster. There's also more administrative costs through the SBA. The SBA is going to have to process millions of applications again. There's also lender costs. Lenders aren't going to just do this for free. More money is going to have to be sent to lenders, and it's not cheap to pay lenders to process all these loans. So there's going to be even more lender fees, and there's not more funding allocated. On top of this, I mean, if this bill was passed, the quickest it could be passed is, maybe a week or two to be completely passed. By the time that happens, there would be maybe 2 weeks left of additional funding, but within that 2 weeks, the SBA would have to figure out some way to recalculate these loans. They'd have to build a process to allow people to retroactively increase their loan size. By the time that was done, there'd be no funding left. So there's a lot of disparities here, and it addresses one major issue, which of course is the retroactivity and people not receiving the gross income loan. So that's huge in itself, but you can't have that without the other factors. Now, I hope that they just put this out as one part of a 2 or 3 part bill. The ideal bill in my mind would have that retroactivity. It would also increase funding, and I think the best way to do this would be to allocate something like $200 billion in funding, but then say we will fund all loans through the end of May. Anyone who applies through the end of May, we will fund your loan. However, if you apply out, if you miss that deadline, sorry, that's it. You have to apply through the end of May, and then there'd be something like $100 billion left over, and they just write in the bill that whatever is left over after that funding deadline, it just gets returned. It's just not spent. It's not used for other things. That way, we just have a situation where everyone who's eligible, everyone who applies gets funding, and then we don't have to worry about this. We don't have to be in this scramble of, I don't know what the status of my loan is, because there's a lot of people who applied 30, 40 days ago, and there's either an issue at their lender or there's an issue at the SBA, which seems to be the primary issue right now. Just problems at the SBA, throws one of the error codes, and the lender doesn't know what to do yet. We're kind of hoping that the SBA releases a lot of these and lets loans pass. Now, I have heard in the last day that a lot of people have been released from various issues. I don't know if it's necessarily a release at the SBA. I haven't heard that 100%, but there has been more loans passing through. There's more people applying. So there's an obvious need for more funding. Now, there's something that you can do to help get more funding because there currently is not an actual bill to increase the funding here. You can text RESIST to 50409, and this will connect you to a local representative, and you can send a short message that says, whatever your situation is. Hey, I applied for the Paycheck Protection Program. I have not yet received funding. It's going to run out soon. Can you please help push forward legislation to get more funding? And this is kind of how we have to do this. We have to have this kind of grassroots campaign to get funding pushed forward here and get action done if we really want this program to be able to help all small businesses. We kind of have to do it ourselves at this point and let our legislators know that, hey, this needs to happen. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are stuck in various spots in their loan process. I'm working on a video right now that's going to kind of be a step-by-step or more like guidance as to things you can try if you are stuck in various areas. I should have this done by tomorrow morning. I've just been trying to make this very well formulated because I just don't want to give bad advice because there's so much gray area here. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on your notification bells for that. Also, if you're looking for some entertainment, check out my video from yesterday. I'll pin it above of probably the worst deal in the stock market. Doesn't sound hilarious, but it's actually hilarious. It's worth a watch. So that's going to cover everything you need to know for today's update. I'd like to thank you for watching. We'll have more tomorrow, and I hope you have a profitable day.